Hey guys, I thought I'd take a little bit of video on some of the repairs on these, I guess. Something to video, and some of this stuff's kind of interesting, but I'm going to set the camera down and show you how much play is in this, because it's kind of hard to show you when I'm holding the camera, but let's see if I can get this camera so that it's aiming towards the tire. There we go. That's how bad the axles wore out. So, we'll tear that apart and see. I think I got a bearing carrier around here with some new bearings in it, and see if I got enough chain to put on here. So after removing this wheel, I kind of got to remember what happened with this and why it's wore out. This whole rear end, I just got to thinking about it. I bought a 300ex last fall, late or early winter, and it had a rear end in it that, it seemed like it may have needed something, like the axle journals welded and turned, or the bearings was bad. But I just pulled that whole rear end out of that bike and stuffed it in this one. I didn't actually do any maintenance on it and checking to see if how the splines was. And so I neglected to check those things, and this was running dry. And looks like the hub is in worse shape, or has more damage to it than the axle does, but probably just weld it, I guess. I don't know. I'll go over here and grab a new hub once and see what it's like. Or they're not new, but really good condition. I'm gonna weld it. I'll just destroy this hub trying to use it. So yeah, I'm just gonna weld it up. It'll get, whatever life, the bearings last in here is how long it'll be able to stay on there welded, but I'll have to cut it off whenever it's junk. Alright, so inspecting, seeing what's going on here. I don't think the bearings are bad in this, but I'm going to replace them anyway. But I wanted to show you, we got a bent rotor situation. You can see, I don't know how well you can see this. And it's kind of hard to see with me holding the camera, but it's like bent in like three different places, it seems like. Now you can probably see this gap right here. And I need to mention, this is this brake caliper on the back of here is not a 300ex brake caliper. It's one of them Chinese deals off of eBay, like 20 bucks, and I think it even comes with a master cylinder. This does have the 300ex master cylinder on it, but I don't really like the ones that's on here. They got the parking brake thing, and then even when you buy the little plate that goes, blocks it off, they seem leaky, and you end up spending the money to rebuild it, and then it still leaks all over the place. And so what I did was I welded little tabs off of the framework for this one to fit on the factory bolt up, and so it's no parking brake on there, but it works just fine. Yeah, I got some more rotors around here. And we got one right there and one right there, and I think I got some just rotors without hubs on the shelf too. Alright. Well, I found me a rotor up on the shelf. It's kind of crap as far as like it's been ran steel to steel, and it's like cone shaped. I don't know if you can see it in the picture. Basically, like somebody was running it that had bad froze up slides on here. So basically, the rotor was the caliper was just pushing, not squeezing it. But I laid it on a flat surface, and it's not bent. just cone shaped, so that'll work on this. It's painted black because it was all rusty and nasty, and I was looking at the fact that, you know, I throw it on the bike, and after pushing the brake a few times, it would clean off what it's going to clean, you know, clean off what paint is going to clean off, and it would be, you know, black and then have black inside of the holes. But I don't know, I just wanted to try it out, and it's been a while I painted this up, but it's a usable rotor. And I was kind of looking at the chain. I got two brand new lengths of chain. This is 50 chain. And I don't know if you can see here, but 50 chain is like 530 chain. It's a wider chain. You know, it runs pretty good on these. You can kind of see here side by side. This is a brand new 50 chain. Here is a 520 chain. You see that it's narrower. This one here is like almost wide outside to outside is what this one is, just because it is an O-ring chain. The old chain was. And you know, so yeah, it's just a wider chain. The rollers are about the same size. This, you know, you can see here the spacing between lengths is about the same size, just wider. And this old chain actually has, where is it? There's a missing roller on it. I probably could have used it some more, but given that I'm going to go for a riding somewhere, I just want to put brand new chains on both bikes so they're not busting. Something else I wanted to show you guys before I go to tear this apart. I had to clean off all the dirt, but you see this is has electrical tape on it. Something I've kind of figured out over the years. You can just lock these nuts together, you know, hand tight. And you know, maybe draw it up so that, you know, it's tightening up the axle, and you know, and then just snug this up against here. Put like some WD-40 or something on these threads that's underneath here, and tape it all up, and then your nuts will never come loose because it's taped up, and it protects your threads. And you know, I even go clear out here on the axle. It keeps water and stuff from getting in there, and keeps these in pretty nice condition. Then you don't have to break out the pipe wrenches and crap, chew everything all up, and you know, electrical tape holds it nice, keeps it sealed. Man, I gotta tell you, whoever owned this thing before me did not own any grease, maybe? Maybe they didn't own any. This thing is rusty as crap. I can't believe it's even coming apart. Alright, so we got the axle out, and I went to inspect the journals, see how worn they were. A lot of times what I'll do is, if they're worn really bad, is I'll weld them all up. It takes like 3 runs all the way around them, and then put them in a lathe, turn them back to just under 40 millimeters so they slide into the bearings. And these guys here are actually pretty good. 3.965. You know, I'd be looking at probably 3.98 if I was turning them, so that'll work. There may be a little bit of play in them, you know, but that's actually kind of nice. Too bad this axle's crap on the ends. Alright, I got the brake assembly and everything off there, and got the this is used. You can see where the chain came off a couple times. Got new bearings in there, and I think this has my spacers in it. I need spacers so that the single row bearings can go in there and replace the double row bearings. But I also wanted to mention, I cleaned off with a wire brush so I can show you guys those welded on tabs to make this Chinese brake caliper fit on there. And then you know, use a rubber mallet to get this out, because it's 15 bucks to replace these bearings and seals. That is if you put the spacers in to put the single row bearings in there. And you always want to replace these when you start noticing stuff going on with the back end. You know, you may think that the bearings are going bad. You want to get it out of there, because otherwise it's $100 for one of these, which, you know, how they can produce this for $100 and sell it to you, ship it, is amazing, but it's $100. But yeah, I'll rebuild this one for $15, and they'll be ready to go next time. Alright, I got the new carrier installed in there, and you can see here's the brake caliper holder and the little clip that holds the whole thing together. I already have one, actually a whole bunch of these on the wall that I've cleaned up and repainted. Yeah, nice cleaned up parts are easy to put together, and you're not dropping a bunch of dirt down in your new bearings. So I'll just later on clean these up and paint them, and they'll be ready for next time too. And got the axle all nice and greased up. I'm actually using grease this time. Somebody else didn't believe in it or something. Alright, we got the these are just hand tightened, and that one's just hand tightened up against this one, and we'll tape it all up, and those will never come loose. And one of the things that's kind of rough is, you know, because this is all greased up, it's kind of hard to get the tape on there, but so you kind of gotta stick it to itself to get it started. Alright, now so we're running nice and smooth, and I put a chamfer on here a little bit so that when I put the hub on there I can weld it on. And I put a little bit of a chamfer on there. I did take a little bit of a wire wheel and clean this up. Can't really do too much cleaning up on the inside of the hub, but I'm going to try to get some weld on this side too. Alright, so we got it all put back together. And its axle's all welded up. Put brand new brake pads on there while I was in here. And the chain's all good. And the battery box I'm going to put in here. I had a little project about a year ago. I was going to put a little 110cc engine in a E-ton frame. And I kind of gave up on it because the E-ton had drum brakes front and rear. And I was concerned about my kids being able to pull in the levers and stuff, and it was just kind of junky, so I just gave up on it. And I got a project coming up. It's going to be putting that 110 engine in a LT230, which it has, you know, disc brakes and stuff like that, and it's a lot bigger bike for my oldest. But just kind of adding that in there on where exactly this came from is the battery box I was making for it. And I figure I'm gonna weld it in probably, you know, on the bottom of this frame right here on each side, and I gotta work just fine. And here's the cable leads. But got one going. I already rode it around, and that wheel there is kind of off. It's not straight because it was so worn, and when I went to weld it up, it welded it on kind of crooked. But hey, it runs, and when you're riding off-road, you really won't notice anyway. I just noticed it on the road. And I also changed the gas tank out. I had a gas tank inside of a gas tank, and it only held about a half a gallon of gas, and it's just not going to work, you know, going somewhere where you're going to be riding for miles. So change that out too. But I guess I'll catch you guys later.